Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your SuperChats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
The Jets will be facing quite the dilemma, according to lead NFL Network draft analyst Daniel Jeremiah. What will the Jets do with pick number 10? Jeremiah weighed in. We'll talk about that and much more in today's Jake Asman Show. So let's hit it and get it started.
Man, our Jets are primed for a historic season.
I'm here because I believe in this team. I believe in Coach Saleh. I believe in the direction of Joe Douglas and what Coach has done the last couple of years. He's building something special the right way with the right values, the right type of leadership. I'm just here to be the best quarterback I can be, to lead and to inspire the guys around me.
We bleed Jets green each and every day. This is not the same old Jets. We had Garrett Wilson. Let's go. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super Chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinnen Williams. The Jets bandwagon is loaded. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
Here we go. Welcome in, everyone. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as we approach 36,000 subscribers. We'll do a giveaway when we hit that mark. Also, as I head off to Indy later today, I want to remind everyone to sign up for my Patreon. You'll get all the interviews on the Patreon before they air on YouTube. You'll gain Discord access. You'll get your name in the countdown ticker. This show in podcast form on either Apple or Spotify. Bunch of other perks as well. Plus, you could really help me out by supporting me away from YouTube so I can continue to do this on a full-time basis. Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. Let's talk about what Daniel Jeremiah had to say. And I also want to remind everyone to check out the first show of the day with Richie from Jets Media coming on to talk about another bogus report about Robert Saleh, speculating, the Jets should fire him now. It's not going to happen, people. So check that out if you want more Jet content. But Daniel Jeremiah the other day did a media conference call with national and local media types throughout the country. And it was very Jet-centric at times with some of the questions DJ was asked. And we're hoping to have Jeremiah on our show this week at the Combine. But this was a great question asked by Rich Cimini of ESPN to Jeremiah to break down the offensive tackle options. And then listen to the end of this clip. This is the dilemma the Jets will face when they're on the clock with the 10th pick. What will Joe Douglas do? Here was Jeremiah breaking all of that down.
You mentioned the offensive tackles at the top. Jet-related question at number 10. How do the top few tackles separate in your eyes? And also, who do you think is their most likely option at 10?
Well, yeah, they're all different flavors. They're all really talented. When you look at that top group of guys, really, I would say you're talking about Alt, Fashanu, Fuaga, Latham. I would think those are, pretty unanimous. Whatever order you have them, those are kind of the top four guys. I don't think that Alt will be there because I think he's the cleanest of the bunch. He's huge. He's long. He just keeps getting better. He doesn't get beat. It's not, he's not the most dynamic athlete. He's not an elite bender, but he doesn't get beat and just plays with outstanding awareness, and he can move people in the run game. I think he'll be gone. I think then you start getting into the possibilities for the Jets. You've got Fashanu from Penn State, who's, massive, has the ideal frame, ideal length. The Ohio State game this year was kind of the one that people will point to where he got in some trouble, where his eyes were kind of in the wrong place and he gave up his chest and got bold and moved around a little bit. But really, on the whole, I think his tape's pretty solid, and he'd be plug and play there. I think he could play on the left and play on the right. Fuaga is a really, really clean player for me. He has played on the right side. I don't see, really why you'd want to move him. I think he's plug and play as a right tackle. He could play guard if you needed him to, but just really consistent, quick feet, really explosive and dynamic when he gets into guys. He's got some nasty to him, plays with good temperament. So that to me is like the plug and play. He's got a home at right tackle, and off you go. I have him as the second lineman on my list. And then J.C. Latham from Alabama was a big-time recruit. He's got a lot in his body. I mean, he's huge, 330-plus pounds. He's got torque and power, especially in the run game. He can anchor all day long. He had some issues, more so than the other guys, with just some of the games and stunts and twists that they saw. I thought his eyes were a little bit late. He got in a little bit of trouble with that. So he would be the fourth guy for me in that mix. But I would say Alt's gone. Fashanu probably is gone. But that's why I think it could come down to Fuaga versus Latham with that selection.
And that's what we're going to talk about. Jeremiah believing, as of now, and look, things change, right? We're about to go to the NFL Combine, and if some of these quarterbacks, maybe a guy like J.J. McCarthy plays himself into being a top 10 pick, all it takes for one of Alt or Fashanu to potentially being available at 10 is a couple players go in the top 10 that aren't projected to go in the top 10 right now, which in theory slides down a couple of these tackles. But right now, Jeremiah believes that both Joe Alt and Olu Fashanu will not be there at pick 10. So if the Jets are going to go tackle, and I still believe as of now they will, free agency could change that, but I doubt it. Talise Fuaga versus J.C. Latham could be the debate that the Jets themselves are having. And let's not forget, Jeremiah and Douglas are close. Douglas tried to hire Jeremiah when he became the Jets GM. They go back a long way. They have a very similar thought process when it comes to how they evaluate prospects. So this could be the debate in the Jets war room on draft night. This could be their dilemma. Do we go Fuaga? Do we go Latham? Is there a trade down offer where they move back because they have the same grade on both Fuaga and Latham and they feel like they're good with either one they select? That's the question. These are the type of scenarios that could exist. But I think if you're a Jet fan, you should be rooting for this week. Quarterbacks to do well. J.J. McCarthy, wows. So maybe the Jets could trade out of 10 for a team that wants to come up for J.J. McCarthy, or J.J. McCarthy plays himself into the top 10. He's picked within the first 9 picks of the draft. Maybe Atlanta moves out, and then all of a sudden, a better player is available at 10. Maybe Tennessee has a trade offer they can't turn down. Tennessee is linked to all the offensive tackles in this class. What if Tennessee trades back with Denver, who comes up from 12 to 7, so they could take McCarthy? All of a sudden, McCarthy goes 7. Atlanta or Chicago aren't going to take an offensive tackle, and boom, Olu Fashanu makes it to 10. Joe Alt makes it to 10. That's still a possibility. But as of now, before we get to, the combine, the pro days, all the rumblings that occur this time of year that's going to pick up this week, it feels like the Jets will decide between Fuaga versus Latham if they have their tackle board graded out the same way. Maybe Amarius Mims could skyrocket up some boards. He is an athletic freak. We know Joe Douglas values draft prospects with high RAS scores, raw athletic scores. So I guess RAS scores is redundant. He values prospects with high RAS, raw athletic scores. Maybe the Jets' philosophy, though, has also changed. No Rex Hogan in the draft room this year. No Chad Alexander in the draft room this year. Is Joe Douglas going to adopt, I should say, a different drafting philosophy? These are questions we don't know. We're not in the war room. We know Douglas will speak on Wednesday. Perhaps he's asked about his 2 right-hand men no longer being with the organization. He probably won't say much, but maybe off the record we'll find out more this week. These are the type of stuff we could learn at the Combine. So I'm looking forward to that. But ultimately, it does feel like if the top 2 tackles are the top 2 tackles the Jets have, the same that Jeremiah has, they might not be there at 10. But it's a really good tackle class, as you heard Jeremiah say. And he had a good breakdown there on both Fuaga and Latham. So how do the Jets view these guys? What moves will they have already made in free agency up until that point? Those are the questions we don't have the answers to. When we get some of those answers, it will all make a lot more sense. Until we get those answers, we're kind of just guessing. And that's the bottom line. Here's more from Jeremiah. A lot of people have focused in on pick 10, rightfully so. Friend of the show, Antoine Staley, though, asked DJ about some options for the Jets on day 2. Perhaps maybe trading down and getting a second, where the Jets, of course, have a third-round pick, which is the 72nd overall selection. Here's Jeremiah talking about that for the Jets.
Hey, DJ, I wanted to ask you about the Jets and just kind of day two, what they're looking at. Obviously, they don't have a second-round pick due to Aaron Rodgers, but just potential targets you might see for them because they need wide receiver help, maybe some safety, defensive tackle, and maybe some depth on the offensive line too.
Yeah, I mean, look, everybody's talking about the Jets. Do you go wide out? Do you go tackle with that first pick? I know one thing. If you can get the tackle, I feel a lot better about the third-round wideouts than I do about the third-round tackle. So that to me would make that – I would lean more in that tackle direction early because in the third round, you got some really, really interesting guys. Malachi Corley from Western Kentucky's got, big-time juice, big-time run-after-catch stuff. He is a total stud. You've got Roman Wilson from Michigan who can fly. I talked about him a little earlier. Ricky Pearsall from Florida, who's just a real loose, fluid, excellent route runner, and got some insane catches. The one against Charlotte, he might have the catch of the year of all these guys in the draft. His catch against Charlotte's ridiculous, but real quick, real fast, and can make some things happen after the catch. I can go on. I mean, there's a bunch of wide receivers every year. We do this every year. We talk about this. It's a really, really intriguing mix of wideouts. So in the tackle wideout discussion, I think if it's close, you go tackle early. You can come back for the wideout safeties in that third round range. You've got Javon Bullard from Georgia, good player. We'll see what happens with Jaden Hicks from Washington State. If he runs well, he'll probably be gone by then. But you also have like Malik Mustafa from Wake Forest, Tyke Smith from Georgia. There's some interesting guys, some interesting safeties. I don't think it's a great safety class. I don't think we even have one. Maybe Newbin goes in the top 50 from Minnesota in the second round. But we might not have a safety in the top 50 picks. It's possible.
Ultimately, I agree with the philosophy there, right? If you're the Jets and you need both tackle and receiver, you're better off getting your tackle at 10 and then finding your receiver in the third round. Unless the Jets make some trades. It's possible the Jets could trade up from round 3. Would it shock anyone if the Jets used their third and fourth round pick to get back into the second round this year? I wouldn't be shocked. That's the level of aggressiveness that could be different for the Jets. That's what could be different for this team this year. Third round pick, fourth round pick, fifth next year, we're back into round 2 because there's someone we love. I could see it. Joe Douglas is GMing for his job. So he could be more aggressive than we've seen. And we know he's not afraid to trade up. He's done that. He's traded up in every draft. He's been the GM of the Jets. So I think when push comes to shove, if you're the Jets, you get your tackle at 10 and you identify if you're going to go the receiver route, because I think they're going to add a receiver in free agency, but I'm not against them drafting someone either in what is a really good receiver class. If you go to the receiver route, is that something that happens with your third round pick? Do you trade up? Is there someone you just love at pick 72? Jeremiah makes it sound like there's a lot of receivers who are going to be available in the third round. And look at the NFL this past year. There were some really good receivers that were not first round picks. Guys who were in the second round, guys in the third round. Not everyone's going to be Tank Dell or Puka Nacua in round 5, but there's guys. And I think ultimately we could see a very aggressive Joe Douglas. That's what I keep coming back to. But I like the breakdown there from Jeremiah. I think ultimately if the Jets come away, though, with, let's just say, hypothetical scenario, folks, tackle at 10, receiver at 72, no trades, I think we'd be on board with that. Now, a lot of this depends what they did in free agency at that point, but we're going to find out. We are going to find out. There is no doubt about it. Let's open it up to your comments and questions. This is a bit of a short show. I have an Uber that is arriving to pick me up in about 20 minutes. So we're not going to go as long as we normally go. We gave you an hour and 20 minutes with Richie earlier, so check that out. But I wanted to squeeze in another show because you guys know the drill. Monday through Friday, we typically do 2 shows every single day. And then we gave you a show on Saturday. We gave you a show on Sunday. So we're pretty much year-round on this channel. You guys know that. The way to get involved is to join the Gusbuster hotline. The link is pinned in the comments. And, of course, Gusbuster umbrellas. The best umbrella in the universe.
If you go to gusbuster.com, you could purchase the best umbrella in the universe. And you could use the promo code Jake, so you'll get 15% off on any of your umbrellas.
I can't believe what I'm about to do. Ladies and gentlemen, Dirty is on the guest hotline. Dirty, where you been, man?
Delivering everybody's packages, man. And I've been practicing for I have a flag football competition at the Snow Bowl this weekend at MetLife Stadium. So I've been moving and grooving, my friend.
Hey, I'm glad you're doing well, my man. And look, if you're playing on that MetLife turf, be careful, all right?
I've heard and seen very, very bad things to people's knees. So we'll make sure. Actually, I was at the Combine the last 2 years. Amazing experience. And this year, I think you're absolutely correct, man. I believe that Joe Douglas is going to be more aggressive than we've seen. I think the hype about Devontae Adams, I don't think it's as big as we think it is. I think Joe Douglas will try to get I think he will try to talk to the new GM that's going to be over there and see kind of what he can finagle. But all in all, I think he's going to overspend, not in a bad way, on Zietler. I really do think that he's going to pull in the ultimate offensive line and then get a tackle. And I think he's going to put a lot. I think he's going to trade down, to be honest with you. I honestly think Fashanu is going to be gone. I think Alt is going to be gone. And you could still get Mims. You could still get Latham. You could still get, I think it's Fuango, however you say that. But I think he's going to trade down to get some second rounders. I think he's going to do that. And even in the second round, I've seen Powers dropping into that late first round, second rounder. I wouldn't be surprised if he trades down just a little bit more too. You know what I mean? Into the second, but I think everything's going to be huddled around that offensive line because he understands what he did wrong.
Yeah, look, I think in my ideal scenario, Dirty, and thank you for the call, man. Great to hear from you. Good luck with the flag football competition at MetLife, man. We're worried about your ACLs and Achilles tendons. That being said, though, I'm with you. I'd love to trade down. I don't know if it's as easy as some make it seem. Sure, if there's a trade down, do it. I'm all about it. You need a team that wants to trade up. Who's coming up and for what specific players are they coming up for? The easiest position to point to that teams come up for the most is quarterback. And that's why I think you want these quarterbacks to do well this week and get hyped up. You want it to be like the 2021 class where you had 5 quarterbacks go in the top 15, right? Remember Justin Fields? That was a trade up. Trey Lance, that was a trade up. Teams came up for quarterbacks. And the Jets obviously took Zach Wilson. Trevor Lawrence went 1 that year. Mac Jones was just there at 15 for New England, but you had trade-ups for 2 of the 5 guys. It's interesting. The Jets behind them, Minnesota could use a quarterback. Would they move up 1 spot if there's fear of Denver jumping them? Maybe. Vegas needs a quarterback right now. We'll see what they do. I think what's good about the draft, it's after free agency, right? The NBA has the draft before free agency. Every sport's different. Baseball has the draft in the middle of its season. So I think the point is with the Jets, you'll have an idea on what the teams behind them could potentially be doing based on free agency. If Denver brings in Kirk Cousins, they're probably not going to be trading up for J.J. McCarthy now. Or maybe they will. I mean, you just say we'll have a better gauge once that's determined. I want to trade back, though. I want an extra second if possible, even an extra third if I can move down a couple spots, and I can package that extra third I got with the Jets third and get back high into the second round. Sign me up for that. Or maybe how aggressive would Joe Douglas be? Could he take both thirds and a second next year and somehow get back into round 1 at the end? How bold is Joe going to be? That's what I don't know. I think he'll be bold. But it's a very unique circumstance the Jets are in. They have to win now. And their quarterback is 40. Matt Siegel's watching the show. Ladies and gentlemen, the architect of the L5 tailgate. Jake, is there a world where we sign enough offensive linemen in free agency to go best available at 10? Do you have a quarterback you're thinking in the later rounds? Jordan Travis, I still like, despite what Dom Cia said. I still like Travis a little bit. Michael Pratt from Tulane is a name I like. So that's I'm not huge on the late round quarterbacks. I think it's all dart throw. I like Sam Hartman. I don't know what he's going to be at the next level. He's handsome. You want to have handsome ability in your quarterback room. That's a given fact. As far as the offensive line, I guess if you tell me the Jets say AVT's a right tackle, they signed Tyron Smith, and then they signed 2 guards, you could feel like, well, they have Tippmann at center, the 2 guards they signed, Smith's your left tackle, AVT's your right tackle. You might be good to go. You could go BPA at 10. BPA at 10, though, Matt, might be one of these linemen, right? We know Douglas loves these linemen. It's a good lineman class. They're not taking a defensive player. They better not. Anyway, they do that, it's full to franchise time. They're not taking a quarterback at 10. I'd be shocked. Unless, like, Jaden Daniels somehow was there. I don't see it. Receiver, yeah, I guess in theory they could take Neighbors or Adunze. I would love Neighbors. If Malik Neighbors, I'll say it right now. If Malik Neighbors makes it to 10, I'm okay with the Jets taking him regardless what the O-line looks like. I think Malik Neighbors is Garrett Wilson 2.0. So if I tell you that, Jeff Finch, you wouldn't sign for that? But I don't think he's going to be there. So I think at the end of the day, Matt, they're going to go tackle at 10. Maybe my opinion will change when I talk to some people off the record this week in Indy, but that's my feeling right now. Dan says, if Kirk goes to Denver, we could chalk that up. We could chalk up that game as an L. You don't think the Jets could beat the Broncos with Kirk Cousins next year? Of course they can. Do the Jets play the Broncos next year? Am I missing something? I don't remember. I'm trying to think of the Jets' schedule next year off the top of my head. The Jets play Denver at home next year, I believe. Yes. They play the NFC West. Or the AFC. No, they play the NFC West, and I guess Denver by virtue of what? Both teams coming in third place in their division. I guess that's what it would be. Yeah, so they could beat Denver next year with Kirk Cousins. That's not an automatic L. Johnny Football wants the Jets to sign Cushenberry. I mean, maybe. I think Tippmann's the center, folks. I don't know why people want to play Tippmann at guard. He was drafted to be a center. He could be a very good center in this league. Let him play his natural position. Center's got to be smart. Joe Tippmann is smart. Let him do his thing. I'm not against Tippmann being a guard if like a certain scenario happened, but I think you go into this year with him as your starting center. Mr. Bonesy, for the second time today, has called in. Bones, how was that customer you left us for?
Honestly, it was a Japanese guy, and he had 2 daughters, and they were smoking. So it was fun. It was a good time.
I'm happy.
He bought a pair of shoes. Everything went smooth. Well, here comes somebody walking in. So I'm going to go in the back. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Fasano or Fuega, the choice, that's a dream scenario for us. I know Joe Alt's the big man on campus that you want, but having the choice would be fantastic because as a Joe Douglas truther, I think he'll make the right pick. I think if he's got the choice, he'll, with his talent that he can find in drafts, I think he'll make the right call. And I just wanted to say one thing to a couple people in chat, especially first off, Mr. Snoopy. I did not put I did not put anything out on your head to get you banned. That is not my style. You could ask Jake. I've never approached him with anything like that. That is not me. And I only say that you should call into the show because you're a heavy opinionated person. You act like you know what you're talking about, but you won't show your face. And just so, I can see who I will not be letting enjoy the ride this year coming with Aaron Rodgers. Like the rest of the people I have on this list that I am going to be very annoying. Because when the Jets start playing well, I will keep bringing up all the negative things that you had, all your thoughts, and vice versa with me. If the Jets crash, you guys can shit all over me. But I will stand on my ground that you don't get to enjoy what's going to happen because I know it's going to be special with Rodgers. And one thing I'll say is if you guys knew who I was during the Idzik and McCagnon years and like Gates and stuff, you guys would think I was Allen. I hated them. Like I was very opinionated the other way. So it's like, yeah, as much as people want to say, oh, Mr. Bowling's always positive, it's like I'm positive right now because I got a fear of drafting bad players and never getting it right. And Joe Douglas sometimes gets it right. And it's not every day that you can go out and find people who draft, defensive and offensive rookie of the years and find Bryce Huff and Quincy's off waivers and JFMs and all the good shit that he's done. Like, we're not a franchise that's gotten lucky like that. We spent millions. Johnson spent millions of dollars trying to get people to recruit, and then we come up with McCagnon. Like, it's not easy to get people who know what they're doing. So I just get nervous of how bad it's been for a long time, and that's why I'm not so quick to jump ship with these guys. But if you guys did know me, I have a negative side with the Jets. It's just not right now.
I love it.
Aaron Rodgers.
Bonesy, good call. Your audio a little choppy there, so we'll let you go. But by the way, It's Snoopy had a bounty put on him by Rat Diddy, who offered me money to ban him, not Mr. Bonesy. It's Snoopy drives me crazy with his nonsense, but I didn't ban him. He's been put in the shadow realm for 5 minutes, but he has not been banned. The bounty on It's Snoopy, though, is $500. Someone sends me a $500 Venmo. See you later. It's Snoopy. I'm going to Indy this week, man. I need some spending money. I got to try this, St. Elmo's shrimp cocktail, although I won't be trying the shrimp cocktail because I'm allergic to shrimp. But I'll be mixing it up. If anyone has some recommendations for Indianapolis restaurants, please let me know. Looking forward to it. Shout out to Ronnie, who says, Jake, so cool. You'll be repping Jets Nation at the Combine. Hit up Kilroy's on Meriden Street. Had a blast there when we played in Indy a few years ago. Good times. Ronnie, appreciate it. I'll add that to the list. Horton writes in, Hartman's handsome efficiency rating is generational. Yes. If the Jets goal was to construct the most handsome quarterback room of all time, you sign Jimmy Garoppolo and you draft Sam Hartman. Ladies and gentlemen, the Las Vegas Citizen of the Month is watching the show. Get this man some money for Indy. Shout out to our guy Lasso, who saved the day last month in that courtroom incident. Kay says wide receiver, number one, then O-line, O-line, O-line. If it's draft, to me, it's O-line, then wide receiver. I think receiver could be solved in free agency or a trade. Dakota says get Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is a pipe dream. They're not trading him. Allen recommends Kuma's Corner in Indy. Someone else recommended that last week. I'll add that to the list. Let's squeeze in Rob, the Jet fan. He's our final caller. What's up, Rob?
Hey, Jake. Good luck on the trip. Safe trip, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sure you're going to update us and let us know what's going on there. You're the best at that, my friend. Shout out to my best friend who lives in Indianapolis, Katarina. She's a sweetheart. She's my soulmate, but I just wanted to say hello. Jake, yeah, I was kind of listening. I'm hoping that one of those tackles drop to us, the guy from Penn State, Shano. But if we get down to 10 and it's Fuaga there, or we could obviously trade down a couple of slots, I would be okay with that as long as hopefully Fuaga is still there. But question: if Fuaga is there and you have a Rome there, would you go with a Rome Dunze, or would you trade down and try to pick something else and go for Fuaga later? What would you do on that, buddy?
It depends how far, Rob. I would have to trade down. And thanks for the call, my man. Like, if I could move down a couple of spots for a team that really wants Roma Dunze as their pick, fine. That works for me. But I think it comes down to how far I'm moving down. Because I also need to make sure if I have, different grades on these offensive linemen, I get the best guy. And don't mess around with that. I think you just stick and pick and draft the best tackle there at 10. The only receiver I would take at 10 is obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm not counting him. He's not going to make it. Malik Neighbors, if he's there at 10, I would take him. I would take Neighbors over Latham and some of the other tackles. Fuaga, I probably would just take Fuaga. It's too big of a need. But I'm telling you, I think Malik Neighbors is going to be a stud. Pittsburgh Mike says getting back into the second round would be huge. Draft a receiver in the second to play wide receiver 3. Yeah, you got to trade back for that. Or you could trade up, but it's harder to do that because the Jets don't have as many picks. And Jet says, nightmare scenario, all 4 of the tackles are gone. What's the move? Not going to happen. If that happens, you'll take Malik Neighbors and be thrilled. Right? Or if all 4 of the tackles are gone, did one of these quarterbacks make it? You might, if Drake May's there at 10, you almost have to take him, don't you? Right? Or Jaden Daniels, you almost have to take him if that happens. This wouldn't be a nightmare scenario. The Jets would be getting a stud player at receiver or one of these quarterbacks that truly gets to sit behind Aaron Rodgers for a year or two. Not the worst case scenario there. James says, Jake, I still think everyone's underrating Rodgers' ability to elevate a wide receiver. I think Lazard came to the Jets only because he knew Rodgers was coming. Unfortunately, he was deflated. I think he will play better. James, we got to work on your spelling, but I don't completely disagree with your sentiment. I do think this Aaron Ridgers guy has a chance to be a decent player. But no, I mean, look, I'm telling you, Lazard cannot be depended on. There's just no way he's this bad. No way. That being said, you don't go in the next year where he has to be one of your starting receivers. He should be receiver 4 at best after the year he had. Do I think Rodgers can make him a serviceable player next year? I do, but you're not banking on that. It's Snoopy just signed up to be a channel member. He says, block a member now, Jake. Snoopy, I want to make something clear. You've never been blocked. You have been sent to what we call the shadow realm. You get sent there when you say asinine things. It's really not that complicated. If you're watching the show for 3 years, you understand the concept. We also have this thing called Stupid Town, which is where we send people who also say stupid things, like you. So thanks for being a channel member, and we'll see you in 5.
F you. F you. F you too.
We don't ever block people unless they're Jets Forever or FM on the show. Or they say racist or derogatory things. But we'll see you in 5, Snoopy. And you know what? I got news for you. The show's not even going to be around in 5 minutes because it's ending. Because I'm getting picked up in 4 minutes via Uber to head to the airport so I can cover the scouting combine, baby. Today's show has been presented by my friends at Roan Apparel. You guys will see me rocking Roan Apparel this week on the show once again. They're my official clothing provider for Radio Rose I attend in the month of February. I just made that up on the spot, but I am wearing a lot of Roan this week inside the Indiana Convention Center. Roan.com, promo code Asman. Get yourself some of their incredible clothing line products. The commuter line, the commuter shirt on the right, you see it there. It's a button-down shirt. They have a polo version of the same shirt. Roan has clothing for every single occasion. Dress shirts, comfortable pants, quarter zips, polos, blazers, you name it, they have it. Roan.com. Promo code Asman at checkout. Balance, versatility, mobility, freshness. That is the Roan way. Once again, the commuter collection can get you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. Roan.com. Promo code Asman at checkout. Thanks again to everyone who watched. Bonus content on Patreon all week. Discord access on Patreon all week. Sign up there and help support me away from YouTube. I want to thank everyone for their support. This has been the Jake Asman Show here on a beautiful Monday afternoon. Next time you guys hear from me, we will be inside the Indiana Convention Center. Big guest list ahead, so be on the lookout for that. I can't wait to get to Indy and experience the Combine for the very first time. Once again, thank you all for your support. Would not be able to make this trip without you. And in the wise words of Ron Middleton, let's hit it, baby. Let's get after it. Have a good day, everybody.
If it moves, hit it. If it don't move, hit it. And if you're not sure, guess what? Hit it.